Hey everyone, thanks for joining into this episode of Keep Kansas Home. My name is Rick Cluse and I'm here with my wife Penny. And dear, it's always good to have you with me on this set.
Thank you.
And today's subject that we're going to be talking about on the program today is a little more sensitive than what we've been talking about of recent.
Yeah.
But I did want to, from the very take of our campaign, get this out and let you know where I stand when it comes to the subject of life.
Yeah, well, in 2014, Pew Research did a poll on whether abortion should be legal or not in Kansas, and it came up 49 to 49%.
Well, and that's right there. It shows you kind of the divide we're in. When we traveled the state this last year in 2017 collecting signatures, and we were all over the state, we had people come to us from different backgrounds and their values were different. But the thing that I found interesting, whether they were pro-life or pro-choice, it seemed like everybody still valued life, which is really important. I mean, there's always exceptions to the rule, but the difference came in when they believed life began. And for me, I want you to understand that I believe life starts at conception. I have a Judeo-Christian background, and my understanding and what I've been taught is really, become my DNA now, who I am. I believe life begins at conception and ends at a natural death, natural occurrence. And so in saying that and meeting so many people, I still want to cross that divide. And some of you may have watched a recent program that we had, an episode that I said I want to be an advocate of peace, and I really mean that, even in our differences, and even when my values may be different than what your values are, I want to respect and I want to treat people with dignity, and really when it comes down to it, dear, have some civil conversation with folks. But at the same time, I really felt the need that I needed to speak up for life, and that's why I'm doing this episode today. It's so important. Being pro-life, though, goes beyond just the abortion situation that we're faced with.
Well, yeah, and Kansas law states that abortions are, you can't have an abortion after 20 weeks of pregnancy. So
yeah, and so understanding that, and then, thinking from this concept of life and wanting to be an advocate for life, and that's really important to me. We need to find ways and have options for people in Kansas to reduce the abortion rate. And the good news is we have seen a decline in abortions over the last number of years, but we want to continue on that path. We don't want to see that go backwards now.
yeah, so some of the things that we're looking at is adoption reform, improving our foster care system.
And we were involved with that.
Yeah, I grew up, we had foster care kids in our home as I was growing up, and then when you and I got married, we had foster kids when our children were young. And so we're really familiar with that area, but that was 20 years ago, and we're still, in touch with it, but it could definitely use some improvements.
Sure.
And so we want to work with that. We want to work with education for teenagers.
Teen pregnancies,
teen pregnancies, and we also want to work with support centers for women, the different needs that are there for the different women, just having a place where they can go, maybe even shelter, and make sure that those are available.
Well, that's really good, and should I become governor, I want to ensure that there are significant alternatives for people. Places, options, and that there's adequate funding. And I want to really be proactive in that, and because it goes along the whole theme of being an advocate of life, not just at conception, or not just, if someone doesn't get aborted a child, but that we help that child throughout.
The quality of life.
Yeah, the quality of life. That's so important. And so we need to get it out of the mindset of people, especially our young people, that abortion isn't their first option. They need to know that they have other options, and I want to be proactive as a governor in that. And so really just our whole platform and what we're teaching in some of our programs now is we're trying to widen that and broaden that to some other important issues that go along with being an advocate for life. And why don't you touch on some of those?
Yeah, it extends into the quality of life, like we talked about, into DACA, what we're doing in that with immigration and human trafficking.
Yeah, that's good.
Protecting our children, not just in that area, but also school safety for our kids.
Very important, yeah.
And one thing that we ran into a lot was autism, people asking, what can you do to help us with the challenges we face in that? And then also something that's been just a heartbreaking situation, but been so prevalent is suicide. And
Yeah,
so we want to
suicide,
touch
yeah.
on those issues in some episodes coming up.
Yeah, and so all along these lines, being an advocate of life and the quality of life is what's important. And so we just wanted to take these few minutes today to really just allow you to hear my heart, our heart, and the importance of taking a stance for life. And so we want to thank you today once again for joining into the program. And you know, it's really a thing that we want to make a stand and be a voice early on in our campaign. So we appreciate you joining in. And remember, I'll say it every week, together we can build a better Kansas, together we can be successful, and together we can win. So be sure to let your friends know about this episode and others. Share it, like it, and we'll see you next time right here at Keep Kansas Home.